Hello everyone, welcome to this new video series. In this series, I'm going to be making a tic-tac-toe game from scratch. So in this first video, we are going to make a multiplayer tic-tac-toe game. So over to VS Code. First, we create a new file. We name it main.py. You can give it any name of your choice. I'm just using main.py as mine. Now, in a tic-tac-toe game, we have a 3x3 grid. Now, this can be represented using a Python list. So, I'm going to create a variable called board. So, I'm going to create a list comprehension to make this as short as possible. So, now, in the board, I'm going to represent each empty square, which is 0, and denote the players with 1 and -1 respectively. So 1 will represent X, where the -1 will represent O. So I'm going to write the for loop for the state of the board while it's empty. So it's going to be an empty board. So this is the list comprehension for underscore. I'm going to insert zeros for underscore in range 3. So the first column, we have 3 values. So this is for the column. The first row, we have 3 columns now. Guys, this is for the first row. So we create a for loop to create the 3 rows. So each of the rows, we have 3 columns initially. Now we want to create the remaining 3 rows. So this is what this comprehension is doing. So now we want to create some functions to help us play the game. So the first function that comes to mind is to create a function that displays the board to the console. So now define a function. I'll call it print board. I'll take the board as a parameter. So I'm going to copy and paste the code for the board, and I'll explain shortly because it's going to take a little time to type. So let me print the board just to show you how it looks like on the console. So I'll clear the screen. I'll say Python main.py. So now this is our board. This is a 3x3 grid, so it contains rows and columns. So initially the state of the board is 0. So anytime we see a 0, we are going to print an empty space. That's what we have here. That's the empty spaces we are having here. So if we see a 1, we'll see that shortly in the game. If we see a 1 in the board, we are going to print X. So if we see a -1 inside the board, we are going to print O. So next, we create our other functions. Create a function to make a move. So we define the function make move. So we take in the board, the player, and the move as parameter. Board. Let's take in move first. It doesn't matter the order in which you take in the parameter, but provided you pass in the argument the way you pass in the parameters in your function. So we take in the board. So we are just going to insert the board. We are going to insert the move into the board position. Equals to player. Now let me quickly say something. This move is going to come. We are going to prompt the user. The user is going to give us a string. That is, it's going to separate the 2 indexes where you want to place your player, where you want to place your mark. So it's going to give us 2 values. It's going to separate it. So we are going to convert it to a tuple. So now we are going to unpack it. So the first value will be our row, then the second value will be for our column. So we're just going to unpack the move. So in place of this board here, we're going to insert the move So we are going to insert for x, then we insert for, so we are going to insert for, this is supposed to be y, because we are going to insert for the row and the column, so where the player is. So now we create another function to check if the board is empty. So write, passing the parameter board, then the move. So we are going to check if that move that you are trying to play is empty. So we are going to be using this function to check if the move is empty. If not, we tell you that it's not empty. So now we are going to write this same stuff here. We are going to unpack this move again, just same with what we have here. Then we copy this. We are going to return the board. Just write return in front of it. So return, we are going to check if the board is equals to 0. So if it's equals to 0, it means we have no, the player has not placed his mark there, so it means the board is empty. So now we create our game loop. So in this game loop, we are going to be doing a lot of stuff. We are going to ask the player, prompt the player to make a move. Then we are going to check for win and other stuff. So let's comment that out. So before we come to the while loop, let's print to the console. Let's tell the user, let's welcome the user to the game. So I say welcome to my tic-tac-toe game. Okay, so we can print something like this. Print underscore, so just like this. So now in this while loop, we are going to display the board to the screen to let the user know that this board is empty, that you have to, will then prompt the user to make a move. So passing the board as a parameter. Now I want to write the code for prompting the user to make a move. So I want to create a function for that. I don't want to write that in my for loop, in my while loop, because I don't want to have a lot of code there. So I'll be checking for errors too, in case if the user puts an invalid move. Prompt player. So we are going to pass in the board, then we are going to pass in the player to the current player playing the game, the current player whose turn it is to play. So now what we want to do next is to check if your move is valid, so before we can actually place the mark there. So initially we are going to set the move to none. If not, we'll just be doing a lot of if statements. So I don't want to go through those hectic step of doing a lot of if statements. So I just want to write short code that is short as possible. So now I'm going to run a loop here until the user gives me the right move. This loop will keep running. So now I will check if the move that you made, if it's valid or if that square is empty. So now before I check, I'm going to write a try block, a try and except block. So except, so pass here, we'll come to the except block later. So now in this try, we are going to prompt the user to make a move. So move equals to, now this move, remember that I told you that we are going to convert this move into a tuple. So now we'll get the move in form of a string, but the string will be separated by space. So we'll tell the user input, tell them make a move. So we won't tell them how the move will look like, but when he tries to make a move and it's invalid, we'll let him know. Then before we start telling them. So this is the way your move should look like, so that this our first statement will not be too long for the user to start reading a lot of stuff before. So when the guy makes the error, then we'll tell him that okay, this is what you're supposed to do to make this move. That sounds right. Okay, so now we just split. We want to convert it to a tuple. We split. Even though you don't put the space, Python already know that initially what is being split there is by space first. So now this now an iterable, like it can be in a list, so we can actually map through it. So we put our map function here. So a map function, what it takes in a function and an iterable. So we are going to pass in int. We are going to convert each of the items that he placed to us to an integer. So that's what this line of code is doing here. So after that, we are going to convert the map. So we are going to convert the map function. We are going to convert what is returned by the map to a list, so that we can actually unpack it, because you can't unpack a map object. So what we are going to do next, we are going to check if our move is valid. Now we haven't actually created a function that checks if the move is valid. Now I want to update my empty function, because my empty function can actually do the work of valid move. So I just want to write everything inside empty function, because empty function only contains 2 lines of code now. So I just want to check if move equals to none. So I just want to return false. Okay, now we can look at this function as, in place of is invalid, sorry, is valid, we can just say, is this move valid? No, false. Like if the move is none, is it valid? No, false. Now if the move is empty, is it valid? Yes, true. It's going to return true here. Now if the move is not empty, is it valid? No, it's not valid. So we can actually replace the is empty function to is valid. So that's one update I made there. So let's say if is underscore valid. If the move is valid, then we'll go ahead, then we'll make the move. So we make the move, we call this function make move. So okay, my valid, I'm supposed to pass in my board. Remember, this board is coming from this prompt player, so I'm going to pass in my board now into my move board, then the move, then the player. So the player is going to be either 1 or -1. We are going to switch the turn of the player while we are running our loop. So when there's an error, we are going to then we prompt the player the right way to play the game. So we tell them invalid move. So we can put an exclamation mark there. So we can now give a space, or we can go to the next line. We can create another print statement. Okay, we can just tell them enter row and column. Okay, separated by space. Sorry. So we are going to tell them the format, like let's say y. Okay, let's give them values, then 2. Let's tell them that it's going to be separated by a space. So now that's all for our prompt player. Okay, no, we need to break here. So now we need to return the board when we finish from this. When we finish from player, from this prompt player. So now when the player makes the right move, it's going to break. So else, if the player does not make the right move, it's going to keep calling itself. It's going to keep calling make move until you get the right move. Okay. So now we are going to call this function here prompt player. Sorry, prompt player. Then we'll pass in. We are going to pass in the board. Then we'll pass in the player. We have not created that yet. So now we are going to. We know we return the board. We are going to set the board equals to the player, equals to prompt player, wherever the board state is at that point in time. So now we come here, we say player equals to 1. So the first player, the first player will be our X. So that's our first player to make move. So that's what we are setting it to. So yeah, we can remove this pass. So now when the player makes a move, this loop will keep running. So let's create another function to check for win. We can actually test this code that we have here first. Let's see the way it works. Let me increase this terminal. Let me clear the screen. Sorry. So make a move. Let's make some right move. So X is going to the 2. So now it's going to start from index 0. This row will be 0, 1, 2, then the column 0, 1, 2. So row by column is going to be 2, 2. So if we say row 1, column 0, okay, this thing is actually going interchangeably. We are going to correct that. So row 1 is supposed to be top, then column 0 is going to be row. Okay, yeah, that was correct. Row 1 is here, then column 0 is here. Okay, that was correct. We didn't miss anything. Okay, now let's terminate this stuff because this loop is going to keep running. We don't have a way to stop it except we key the terminal. So now let's come down here. Let's now create a function to check for a win. Now creating a function to check for win can be a little bit counterintuitive, but I've already written a code for that. I'm just going to copy and paste that into this place right now. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that here. Let me create define winner board. So I'm going to copy and paste that here. So now let me quickly explain what this code is doing. Now we are looping through the board and checking if the sum of the sum of the numbers is equal to 3, sum of the rows or the column is equal to 3, we are going to return that player 1 has 1. So we also do the same for -1. We are going to know that player O has 1, which is -1. So now we check for the diagonal. So the diagonal is either going to return -3 or or 3. It's going to return -3 or 3. So this one is still going to return -3 or 3. So that's what it's going to return. Now we just did a little construction. We just want to check. We just want to make an absolute of this value. We just want to convert it to 3. In whichever case, when it's 3, remember we are not affecting these values. They remain the same, whatever values they are. So we just want to make this, convert it to 3. So if this is 3, if this value is 3, we know that we can check for winner. So if this diagonal is 3, that is positive 3, or if this diagonal sum of the other diagonal, we are checking. This code here is checking for the two diagonals. So now we are checking if this diagonal is 3, we know that positive 3. If the two diagonal is positive 3, we know that player 1 is 1. If it's otherwise, we know that player 2 is the winner. So let's remove this from here. I hope you got that. So now this function is going to check for winning. So let's call that function here now. So now we pass in the board. So we create a variable player winner equals to winner, then board. So we then print the winner. Okay, we don't just print the winner, we just check. Now this function is going to return 1, -1, or none. So we are going to check if player winner is not equals to none. So if it's not equals to none, you are going to print the player winner. So you can do this any way you want. You can say player, I just want to write this as simple as possible, player winner, then put a comma, won the game. So if it's player, if it's player 1, we say player 1 won the game. If it's player -1, you're going to say player -1 won the game. So you can actually come up here to just say letter equals to, you can just create a dictionary for it. Just say 1, then you say equals to x, then -1 equals to O, so that you can know your player that won. You can put this into your letter so that we know the player that won, to make this actually look good to the screen. Okay, good. Okay, let me bring this up here. Let me take this variable to the top. Okay, just want to bring this to the top. Okay, now let's, okay, when we win a game, we are going to print the board, because if we just break the loop here, this board is not going to be printed again. It's only going to be printed at the top. So let's print the board. So now what we do next is to break from the while loop. So I think we are done with checking for one. So let's test the code now. So Python main dot, yes. So now welcome to my tic-tac-toe game. Make a move, 1 1. So putting x in the middle, so 1 0. Okay, sorry, we weren't really changing the players, so let me do that. Keep the terminal again. Let me come up here. Okay, that one close. Okay, now let me start switching the player. So this is where this player becomes Andy. Player times equals to -1. So when we switch the player, we are going to be multiplying by -1. So you know that when you multiply negative with negative, it turns back to positive. So it's going to like switch, then go from 1 to -1, then -1 to 1. So this is going to switch down every time the loop is running. So let's run the code again. Maybe I'm just going to run it through this. So now make a move. We just say 1 1. We're going to play at the middle. So it's time for player 2. 1 0. So player 2 move was made. So I'm going to play at 0, then 0, then player 2 will play at 2, then 0, then I'm going to play at 2, then 2. So player X won the game. So you can add some other text like congratulations. So now let's create the last function to check for tie. So let me add congratulations here. Congratulations. Okay, so we can check for if the board is full. We are just simply checking if the board is full. So let me create a function. Okay, now we want to check for tie. Is tie. Let's call the function tie. But basically what we are doing is to check if the board is full. So we are going to take in the board as a parameter. We are going to run to follow for I in range 3, for J in range 3. If we are going to check if that square is equals to 0, when that square is equals to 0, we are going to create a list, then we append something inside. So let me do that now. Let me create a list. I'll call this position, or just let me add this, then put empty bracket. So if the board at position is okay, row by column, let's not miss that, I and J equals to 0, then we just append. We can append anything to the position. It doesn't really matter where you append, but let me just append. Sorry, if it's not equals to 0, yeah, if it's equals to 0, we know that it's empty. Yeah, okay, we append something, position dot append. Can append anything there. We can append 0 there. So we are done with that place. So now we just check return len position. If the length of the position is equals to 0, it means there is no empty space, so it means it's a tie. So we are going to check if the length of the position is equals to 0, it means there is no empty space again. I just in the list. I hope you got that. Now we are going to check here. If there is no winner, we just check here. After the player has inserted their move, we check if is underscore tie. Note, you have to do this after the player has inserted their move. If you do it before, the loop is going to run again till you get the so we are going to, if there is a tie, we are going to break. Then what we do before we break, we are going to print the board first. So before we print, it is a tie. So now if there is a tie, we print the board, then we tell them it's a tie. So let's check this out how it works. So let me clear the console. So python main.py. So make a move. I want to play at the very top. So X is moving. So I'm going to be playing O at the edges. So 1,0. I'm going to play X at the center 1,1, and play O at 2,0. Okay, I want to check for draw. I just nearly forgot. I need to check for draw. So the player playing next is O. I need to block the winning point, then I have to play X in row 1 then column 2 to block any winning from O. So I want to play next. I want to play at 0, 2 to block any winning position from X. So I'll play there. Now X does not have any way to win, so I'm going to simply play anywhere now. I'm going to play at 2, 0. So now I want to play for O. I'm going to play at 1, 0, because all the ones are already occupied. 0, 1. Then the last position for X is 2, 1. So it's a tie. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was instructive. Now in the next video, I'm going to teach you how you can program a computer to play against you. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. Peace out.